My dear Bagginses and Bovins, today we are talking about Elijah Wood revealing his favorite Lord of the Rings movie. I have not seen this ahead of time, so I have no idea what his choice is going to be.
I peeked ahead, but I
You
don't
peeked
know the
ahead?
reason.
Well,
Yeah.
at least you'll at least be able to tell me that they do have an answer in here.
Yes, it's not clickbait. It's not clickbait.
It's not clickbait.
For
That's good. A screen rant is you can never really tell, so it is good. Uh, so yeah, let's see. So we've got Elijah Wood talking about the three films. They were filmed all at once, but they were released in consecutive years from 2001 to 2003. Um, where is it? Where's the answer? How far down?
it's in the gray box. Is a
Ah,
Elijah
here we
quote.
go. Do you want to read this out, or do you want me to read this out?
I'll go ahead. The feeling of shooting fellowship was always extraordinary because of that group dynamic. Specifically, for me, it was getting to spend time with the four hobbits as a unit, which was so lovely, and all were so close. Being with Vigo, Sean Bean, and Orlando Bloom, having that whole unit and working together on some of those sequences was just always thrilling. Most of the Fellowship stuff was shot in earlier days, so there was some cohesion to that. But yeah, I, like you, share a specific love for Fellowship of the Ring as well as a film. Um, there is something about that fellowship, the connection that they share, the cohesion of that journey, the start of that journey that then splinters off, becomes so many different things from the Two Towers on, and I love those movies too. They're incredible and they're dynamic and super emotional, but there's something really magical about the Fellowship of the Ring that is so beautiful, and I think, yeah, it remains to be my favorite of the three films.
All right. Well, there we go. We have the explanation and the actual promised answer. Fellowship. I completely understand that. That makes a lot of sense, especially because Frodo and Sam are completely disconnected from the rest of the cast from that point on. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like Merry and Pippin, they have some contact with um, you know with the other guys at certain times. I know they're initially spoilers. This is a Lord of the Rings channel, like obviously spoilers. They do get uh, taken by the orcs initially into Two Towers, and so for the first bit of that movie, they are on their own, so to speak, in terms of not being a part of the Fellowship. But then they eventually do get to come back in somewhat into the Fellowship, if you can say that. Although they do get fractured off again as well, but they at least are with other people, in and out kind of thing. Whereas Frodo and Sam have no contact with anybody except for Faramir, who's not part of the Fellowship, uh,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up until the very end.
Yeah, in
So
the
yeah,
in the multiple endings.
well yeah, and so like that is why. Uh, so to me, obviously, I want to watch all three movies in one go. But if I had to pick, if you're like on a desert island and you don't get to bring your trilogy, your collector box set trilogy, you only get to bring one disc. Which
Oh
one is
no.
it?
Oh
to
no.
me, to me, it is. To me, it is the last one. But I will say, I Fellowship has grown on me more and more over the years, and who knows, maybe in a few years it will be also my favorite. But when it first started out, Fellowship, it does feel magical. It has definitely got that fantasy vibe, but to me, it just didn't have enough of the action when I was younger. That's like I was like, hey, where's the action? Where's the orcs? Like, what's going on? Now, I really like that fantasy aspect that is missing from a lot of the more serious, sinister tones of um, the other two movies. So, yeah, I completely agree with his explanation about there is something magical and just fantastical about that group of nine setting off and uh, going off on an adventure kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I remember hearing on their podcast, the Friendship Onion. Uh, I forget who said it, but one of them was saying something similar in their own experience about enjoying working with the other cast from the original Fellowship more than the scenes they did separately. And so I think that was just, you know, a standard mindset that they all kind of shared, where they would rather be together on set. And
Hmm.
so the fact that, yeah, Frodo and Sam are so isolated for the remainder of the films, I can really see why he has such strong attachment to the Fellowship. Not just because of the togetherness, but also it was that initial um, moment of like, we're filming this epic movie, right? So they filmed that one. They filmed a lot of those scenes early on, like he said, and so I think that's when you start to realize like what you're actually a part of. And then I I don't know how they would phrase this, but it does feel to me. I know Peter Jackson. I've seen an interview, both his own interview and other interviews where they talk about this, where he really hated filming the last scenes of the movie, so much so that he would sometimes just continuously ask for takes, even though the take he was going to use they already got, because he just didn't want to wrap filming for the day. uh,
No.
yeah, so he was really struggling, so I could see him like absolutely hating the process towards the end, and that might affect his view, as well as some of the cast. That might affect their view on that final movie, because a lot of those scenes were filmed right up near the end of filming, as well as being the end of the movie, and so a lot of that emotion you see is real, in the sense that this is the last time that they're going to see each other, kind of thing. So I think that also has a huge impact on how they're going to rank these films, whereas the early filming of Fellowship seems like it's just everyone having fun, right? Like everyone's like, the characters don't know how serious the situation is yet, right? You've got like, Frodo and Gandalf are having their jokes and stuff, and Merry and Pippin are just having fun. Sam is kind of not having as much fun, but he's at least not. He doesn't realize how serious this is yet. He is just a little bit of a worry kind of person. So yeah, that is, yeah. I don't think anyone's gonna judge him too harshly if they're not as big a fan as Fellowship, because I think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're involved in it.
Yeah.
Now, Two Towers is one that I don't see too many people reference, even though, as we've talked about, Two Towers is probably one of, if not the best, sequels of any sequels out there. But I think it's hard when you've got Fellowship, which starts it all, and then the ending. I mean, depending on how you feel about the endings, maybe that's when you would lean towards Two Towers. But that's for another day. So yeah, I just want to see if there's anything else in here that they talk about.
Oh yeah, scroll down a bit.
So, some okay. Here's an interesting paragraph. Some could see the Frodo actor choosing between the films as sacrilegious, while others, particularly those whose favorite is Fellowship, might cheer on his admission. Uh, I I don't think it's sacrilegious. I'm like I said, Fellowship is not my favorite, but I am cheering on his admission because it makes a lot of sense, and the tone. The movies have different tones as well, so tonally, you can pick a movie as your favorite based purely on tone, and to me, that would be fine too. So I don't
yeah.
I don't think it's sacrilegious. I know I'm of the same belief as a lot of people who watch this channel. You should watch them all in one go at the same time, so that it's all one movie. I agree. It is all one movie, but the question is, if you have to pick which of the three is your favorite, that's when it becomes difficult. And so, yeah, some people might be upset, but I'm not. yeah, I think that's it for this one. So unfortunately, I regret to announce that this is the end of the video. If you are an excellent hobbit, please like the video, and if you're an admirable hobbit, please subscribe. We bid you all a very fond farewell. Until we meet again.